Hello, my name is Hélène Brousseau. I'm the Digital Collections Librarian at Arttext. Arttext is a documentation center located in Montreal, Canada. This paper explores the case study of Arttext, where in recent years we have been confronted with the necessity to develop our web archiving capacity. As you will see through this presentation, our approach is rooted in education and knowledge transfer. We use Conifer in order to self-archive web publications and websites. Before we dive into the main elements of the presentation, I will give you a brief introduction to our context. Arttext is a library specialized in contemporary Canadian art from 1965 to the present. Founded in 1980, Arttext was created in response to a growing need in the arts community to have access to publications on contemporary art. We are inscribed in Canadian artist-run culture, and as such, our library is fully independent from museums and universities. Artist-run culture is also at the core of the many artistic institutions represented in our archive. Over the past 40 years, we've built a unique collection of over 30,000 art publications, including some 16,000 exhibition catalogs and more than 2,000 artist books and zines, as well as thousands of ephemeral documents, acquired all mainly through donations from individuals and arts organizations. What is unique about our holdings is that they include documents that are not available in either public or academic libraries. As publishing practices in the contemporary arts sector evolve, so have our methods of collecting the publications. The first evolution that had an impact on our acquisition practices is the appearance of digital publications. And by this, I'm mainly talking about digital versions of the print document where content and layout are generally equivalent in print and digital versions. For our researchers, this shift means that having access to documentation no longer requires that the researcher be present on site. Our main mission being the conservation of documentation on art for purpose of research, we consider it our duty to be vigilant to the ways that the community we strive to represent is making those traces available. As such, in 2013, Arttext launched its new digital repository, which allows us to make digital publications and print publications searchable in one research database. The digital documents are made available to researchers through an agreement with their depositors, who are generally the publisher, the authors, or the artists involved in the publication. The depositors grant Arttext the permission to upload the digital publication and allow anyone to consult and download them for free. A Creative Commons license is associated with each digital document, and these licenses inform users about the conditions of reuse. Offering a new service does not guarantee its adoption and use by the community for who you build it for. With Arttext, there was an initial and ongoing investment of time to train and inform cultural workers and artists about open access and also about the importance of making the digital versions of their documents available in Arttext. It is only in the last few years that we have begun to observe more donors contacting us before we solicit them directly. While we have responded to this first shift, another one has been brewing for many years. The website as a form of publication. I think here it's important to specify that Arttext does not strive to archive all websites about contemporary art in Canada. At this moment, we're interested in the website as a publication. So what we're looking at is the website that replaces the digital or print publication. And what we've observed is that the website typically that's created in this way is independent from the organizational website, and it will often have its own independent URL. With both evolutions, we've had to question ourselves on the scope of our mission to document artistic practices and on how far we have to go to ensure that our collection best represents what is available out there. With our capabilities and our limits in mind, we've decided to support our community to themselves perform the archiving of their web publications. It is our belief that the creators of the website are in the best position to determine which parts of the website should be archived for legacy purposes. As we have seen with Arttext and open access, we expect that this process will be long, yet we hope to see the web archive files appear alongside print and digital documents in future donations. Let's look at a few examples. The website we see here was designed as the equivalent of the exhibition catalog for the Resilience exhibition, curated by Leanne Martin and produced by artist-run center MAWA. It took place in 2018 on 81 billboards from coast to coast in Canada. The Resilience Project website is separate from MAWA's institutional website, and the information it contains is the equivalent of what we would normally find in an exhibition catalog, including an introductory essay, curatorial essay, information on the participating artists, as well as images of the works. For Artex researchers, the information contained in the website is as useful for study as any other exhibition catalog, and it is our belief that it should be made discoverable through our specialized database. The web publication we see here is from an artist-run center located in Quebec City named Avatar. It's a center dedicated to sound art and electronics. The publication was produced for their 20th anniversary. It is another example of a publication that utilizes the website as a form. A few characteristics to point out that make Conifer the ideal tool as it stands to archive it is that there's a lot of audio and video, as well as interactive pop-up images and additional content. When including these websites in our collection, we hope to make them discoverable through eArtex, our catalog. The web archive files would be indexed and searchable alongside print and digital publications. We believe that if we don't find ways to collect these publications, our collection will inevitably include important gaps that could span over many years and become difficult to harvest while maintaining accessibility, integrity, and authenticity of the website. In preparation for this presentation, I had the privilege of talking with Dan Pon, archivist and cultural worker at Grunt Gallery in Vancouver. Dan has not only been implicated at Grunt Gallery for over a decade, he has participated firsthand in the creation of multiple websites as publications. As an archivist, he is also involved in the ongoing question of their preservation. Grunt Gallery is a leader in our community in respect to archives and legacy, and have been for many years. It is actually because of Grunt's activating the archive's websites that Artex became interested in web archives, since we asked ourselves, how do we integrate these resources to Artex's larger collection? The Activating the Archives websites include many elements that would be included in a typical publication, documentation images and essays, for example. But they also include elements that could not be present in print form, like video and audio content. Launched a decade ago, these websites are starting to age and certain elements aren't working as well as they used to. For example, the video elements that required proprietary plugins are no longer working in today's browsers. In this context, a tool like Conifer, which involves legacy browsers, can be useful to use. Dan pointed out that every medium will show signs of aging. For web publications, certain elements will stop working, and eventually, it can be the entire website. In a sense, we have to reflect on our level of comfort with the ephemerality of the website itself and take action accordingly. The capture we are looking at here is the web publication for Recollective, Vancouver Independent Archives Week from 2018. It was a series of free public events, panels, conversations, and screenings, co-organized, amongst others, by Grunt Gallery. From the initial planning phase of this project, the website as publication was identified by the collective of partners as having many advantages. First of all, the creation and editing process is seen as easier to manage in the context of all these multiple partners. More funds also would go towards contributors rather than printing and distribution, so more money was going to artists and authors. And finally, the website gives a greater agility, which allows for corrections and added content later on. Furthermore, having this publication in a web format allows for multimodal responses, including written, audio, video, basically anything digital that can be added. Dan remarked that traditionally writing is a way to reanimate the exhibition or event when a publication is produced after the fact. In our conversation, he also reflected on the act of reading an exhibition catalog in print form, that it can be closer to the experience of the act of consulting a website. Often reading will entail a nonlinear approach to the publication. One can start, for example, by looking at the images of the publication. Perhaps followed by an essay, but most often than not, it won't be in order. So perhaps the website as a publication is actually a more natural way for art writing. Stemming from our observations and conversations, as a specialized library, we arrive at the conclusion that although we may not have all the answers on the right way forward to include this form of publication in our collection, its exploration and the development around it is a necessary step for us. For now, we've set up opportunities for knowledge sharing and training. Since 2019, cultural workers from artist-run centers and artists have participated in our training sessions on how to use Conifer. These include live demonstrations, webinars, and one-to-one support. In the technical aspects of the sessions, we explore the different possibilities such as archiving image galleries, audio and video content, and dynamic elements such as zoomable maps. As I've mentioned before, it is our belief that the creators of the websites are in the best position to determine which parts of the websites should be archived. Therefore, during the sessions, participants are invited to reflect upon what represents a complete web archive. In this slide, you can see one of our guides that includes the main questions that we encourage people to think about when engaging in web archiving activities. We recommend that you set your objectives before starting. Think about what the purpose of the capture is and who is the target audience. We also recommend that people reflect on their short and long-term goals regarding the preservation of the website. After that, we ask them to define the scope of the capture before starting. For example, are you archiving the whole website or only a portion of the website? Will you be archiving over multiple websites? How far will you go with external links? And will you be including video and audio materials which will make your archive much heavier and longer to capture? We've observed that with the organizational websites, the response is often that the periodical capture, even if partially incomplete, may still act as a good representation of what the website looks like. However, with a website as publication, it seems that a complete capture is often seen as necessary. In most cases, external links are not necessarily seen as essential for comprehension of the website, and in many cases, audiovisual contents could be archived separately. Sometimes hard decisions need to be made, but when it comes down to it, each organization is different. They have to weigh the pros and cons of having a complete or incomplete archive, balanced with the human resources that they have available to do the work. So, as a specialized library, there are many challenges that we identify in order for us to receive this web documentation. First of all, we need to foster a culture of digital preservation amongst our stakeholders. The members of our community have limited time to invest in archival activities. As it stands, they are primarily focused on their mission-related activities, including exhibitions, artist-run residencies, and events. Our challenge is to encourage them and their funding agencies to attribute more value to preservation initiatives, including websites. In terms of technical knowledge, as you've seen in this presentation, web archiving is not our main mandate. We've been using Conifer as it is an accessible and easy tool to use. However, we do question ourselves on the need to develop a stronger technical background that would allow us to automate the web captures. And finally, communication with our stakeholders is critical. It is necessary for us to create multiple points of entry to the knowledge we are trying to share, including live training as well as downloadable information. And although we had already identified a need in our community to gain knowledge on web archiving, this past year has shown us that this is even more true today. With the pandemic and the suspension of typical on-site activities, we have observed an explosion in web content, including multiple online exhibitions. On the slide here, we see online exhibitions from 3 galleries and artist-run centers located in Montreal. These institutions need to have access to the right tools in order to ensure their legacy. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to the question period.